Hey, good morning. It's time for another cup of coffee with Mr. Larry. And we're going to do this in a little different format because I want to try to keep this little teaching for some kind of future stuff we're going to do. So let's just get started. So we've talked about this before. There's stuff that they don't want you to know, right? And the graphic is a little fuzzy, but I think that's intended because it's kind of like we took a sneaker snapshot, right? There's stuff that people don't want you to know. And I want to talk to you today about math. Now, listen, I'm not a mathematician. I went to University of Georgia, so that's not our strong suit over there. But I do want to show you some math that you need to know, and it's stuff that it's myths that we've come along to believe that really aren't true. So let me show you. So I want to show you about mortgages. I want to talk to you about stated versus actual interest rates. We've talked about this in the past, but I want you to see it again because this is just critically important. So I took a $300,000 mortgage at 3% interest, which, is kind of today's world, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, but on a 30-year fixed mortgage, which is the way the traditional mortgages work in the United States. And I want you to pay attention to a couple of things. What's the interest rate? 3%. So they quoted you, right? That's the stated interest rate. But we're going to come down here and talk to you about the actual, which you can see there in red, right? Talk about burying the lead. A 3% stated interest rate, if you go and calculate the actual interest rate that you're paying, it's 59.29%. Well, now, Mr. Larry, come on. How did you come up with that number? Go out and find you an amortization chart on Google. Google it, and look for a calculator. Stick your numbers in there and let it run. Here's even better. Go grab your last mortgage statement and pull it out. And go down and find the monthly payment. Now, the escrow account, don't worry about that because nothing, we're not talking about escrow. We're talking about principal and interest. And look for two numbers. They'll tell them to you. Look and see what your principal amount of the payment was. Look and see how much of the interest was. Add those two numbers up and divide them by 750 or 750. Then divide the interest that you paid by the amount of the total payment. Got it? Let me do it again because that was not very well said. Add the principal plus the interest and get that total. Then take the interest and divide it by the total. That will show you what your real interest rate that you're paying on that money. In this case, that 3% stated interest rate is actually 59.29% in the first time you make the payment, right? Well, it's got to get better than that, Mr. Larry, and it does. It gets a little bit better. So let me show you how much better it gets. Now I'm in the way. So let me see if I can move me. So in the 120th payment, 121st payment, which is the first year, first payment of the 10th year, it has dropped to 45.08%. Wow, wee, celebration, right? So what interest rate are you so proud of? 3%? Not so much, right? Well, it's got to get better, and it does get better over time. So here, but I'll go ahead and ruin the rest of your day for you. 20 years into this mortgage, you're still paying almost 26%. Wow, that's an interesting number, isn't it? Now, why did I tell you all that? Well, number one, Number one is I believe that, call it what you want to, we're not always told the truth. I won't call it a lie because the way they calculate it is 3%. But the way it's purported, the reality of it is it's not 3%, it's much higher than that, right? Now, it's better than 8% or 6%, or I can remember in the Jimmy Carter years, the interest on a mortgage was 12, 14, 16, maybe higher. But don't get lulled into the numbers because that's what you hear. Really know what they are. Now, the good news is, and I'm going to come back and talk to you about this tomorrow. The good news is you do not have to be locked into that kind of mortgage. Now, most of us, all of us probably, need some kind of mortgage if we're going to buy a house. But we don't have to be stuck in it. We don't have to be stuck in that kind of mortgage. If we can qualify, there's another kind of mortgage that you need to know about. And if we can't qualify for that mortgage, there's a tool that's available that'll help you get this thing paid off in record time. So we're going to end it there today. I hope the video works. And if not, we'll do it again. But if so, I'll post it and you can see it live. Talk to you soon. Tomorrow morning, good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, we'll be back for another cup with Miss